Two cancer patients, Griffin and Phoenix, are in a race against time to make the most of what they have left. Meeting each other makes the pain a lot easier, and life not so miserable. We see the protagonist in the opening scene, a tall silver fox with chocolate brown eyes. He nervously waits at the doctor's office, waiting for someone to come out and tell him the horrible news. After what seems like forever, Griffin finally gets into the doctor's office, but seeing her put a glass of water on the table for him makes him prepared to hear some really bad news. He asks the doctor to be brutally honest with him, and she does as she is told. The results are worse than what they had hoped for. More than 80 lesions have spread across his chest cavity, and the X-rays look like a star exploding in his chest. The doctor, surprised to see such aggressive cancer, calls it extraordinary. She lets him know that he has 1 more year left, no more than 2, and there is no possible treatment for his condition. Hearing the bad news and knowing that his time is limited, Griffin heads to see his 2 children. Sitting in the parking lot, he thinks about whether he should let them know that he is dying. He approaches his kids and tries to play basketball with them, but his ex-wife scolds him for not calling before coming. Devastated, Griffin goes back to his car and lets all of his tears come down. He gets an idea while sitting in the car, and next we see him in a lecture at the local university. Stages of coping with death is a class he attends, in hopes of learning how to deal with his condition. A student comes in late but later realizes that he's in the wrong class. While there, the student sits next to a pretty girl sitting behind Griffin. When Griffin turns around to look at the student, she catches his attention, so he switches seats and sits next to her. The girl is a beautiful brunette, with ocean blue eyes and a pearly smile. They finish the lecture, despite almost being kicked out for laughing, and go for a stroll around the campus. Her surname is Phoenix, and she is the assistant dean of academic standards for the university. Griffin lies about being encouraged by his work at a life insurance company to take a class as such to help understand their customers. But little does he know that she's not telling the truth either. Reaching the end of the path, Phoenix says bye and heads her way. Flabbergasted, Griffin asks her where she's going and admits to thinking that there was something between them. She lets him know that there wasn't and won't be anything happening between them before leaving once again. Griffin yells out that his life is complicated at the moment, and she returns the same energy by claiming that so is hers. He admits to being bold and saying whatever he wants every 5 years. It is his day, and all he wants is to tell her when and where they'll be having dinner together. He promises to wait for her on Wednesday night at 7:30 at the corner of Bleecker and McDougal. They will be going to dinner, but he doesn't remember the name of the restaurant. However, he lets her know that the front of it is yellow, so it would be easy for her to find it. It would be great if she were to show up, but admits that he wouldn't mind if she didn't. Before walking off, she looks at him shocked and rather impressed by his brutal honesty. The night of the dinner comes, and Griffin can be seen seated at the table, waiting for her to come. He doesn't know that she is in the restaurant across from him, watching his actions closely. She tries to cover her face with a book, but he turns around in a swift motion and she acts like she's surprised to see him. He motions for her to come into the restaurant that he's in, and after some thinking, she heads there. She sits down and orders a drink immediately. He tries to tell her what they'll be doing, but she cuts him off, claiming that she wants to see what happens on the date first. Griffin admits to being a strange person after she calls him that, but promises her that she will be doing something she has always wanted, something that she's never done in her life. Thinking of some weird intimate things, she lets him know that she's not into it and that she is not drunk enough to be talking about such things. However, she is intrigued by the sudden offer and asks what he has in mind. After they finish dinner, he takes her to a movie theater where they plan to sneak in and watch the movie without paying. The adrenaline pumps through their veins as they sit in the seats unnoticed. He scoffs as he realizes that they've gotten into the wrong hall, but she tells him that she likes watching foreign movies as they have nudists. She asks him to steal some milk duds for her, when the person working there asks them to come to the manager's office with him, because they're in trouble for sneaking in. They agree to participate as they get up and walk with the worker to the door. Griffin turns around and tells Phoenix to run to the back door while he's talking to the worker. Lying to the worker that Phoenix has forgotten her purse, Griffin stands with him shortly before bolting to the back door as well. The worker runs after them, but they manage to escape him. Running for their lives, Griffin and Phoenix finally stop as they make sure that the worker isn't following them. They take a walk after the crazy experience and end up spending the whole night together, sitting on the bench, waiting for the sunset. The morning comes and Phoenix jokes about how Griffin doesn't know that the sun comes from the east, as the sun hits their backs. She admits to having more fun with him than she has in a long time, and that makes him smile, as he admits that he had fun with himself as well. Thinking that she'll start to like him even more, Phoenix initiates that there won't be a second date. She looks like she's hiding something, like she has a weight on her shoulders. Asking him whether he sometimes wishes for a day not to start, she gets a totally unexpected answer. The reason they're sitting against the sun is that Griffin doesn't want to see the day begin. Thanking him for buying her coffee, she stands up and leaves, despite him calling out for her. Phoenix goes to work straight away, where she's greeted by her assistant. Her assistant, Perry, a charming young woman, is rather interested as to why she looks like she hasn't slept. Perry offers to get Phoenix some coffee, but Phoenix admits that she's already had coffee before work. Surprised, Perry starts analyzing Phoenix when she realizes that Phoenix hasn't been home the whole night. Interested, she begs Phoenix to tell her something, but she doesn't give in and makes her leave her office. Some time passes before the two of them meet again. Griffin gets to do the things he's always wanted to do. He fixes an old car of his that has been sitting in the garage forever. Meanwhile, Phoenix goes to classes but doesn't see him there. Griffin's health deteriorates and the doctor suggests he stays at the hospital for the remaining time. He knows that his time is limited and doesn't want to spend it in a hospital. The doctor, knowing that she can't convince him, offers him a list of books and makes him promise to read them. Phoenix starts feeling lonelier and lonelier as she thinks that she won't see Griffin again. But to her surprise, he comes to her work one day, totally unexpected. Seeing him there lights her day, but she keeps it cool and even tells him that she hates surprises. They grab lunch and end up spending the whole day together. In his apartment, he pours them a glass of wine. When Phoenix admits not knowing why she's there and what she's doing with him, she wants to know why they don't talk about themselves, and why he hasn't asked what her name is, but he admits that he doesn't have the answer to that. He tries to change the subject but she cuts him off, admitting that she doesn't want to make small talk. After asking her what she wants, Griffin stares at her, waiting for a green light. She admits that she doesn't know what she wants, and after thinking, she decides to head home. Before he could even process what's happened, she leaves but he doesn't let her get away without anything. Coming after her, he stops her and leans in. They share a passionate kiss, and just like that, Griffin heads back to his apartment. Phoenix is surprised and confused, as she stands in the street for a while before coming back to her senses. She walks down the sidewalk but when she comes to a red light, it all comes back to her. She realizes that she shouldn't let Griffin go, so she goes back to his apartment in hopes of making things right. To her surprise, he doesn't answer after she rings the bell a couple of times. She calls out to him, yelling her name. Her name is Sarah and she lets Griffin hear it as a sign that she wants to be with him. Unfortunately, he doesn't answer as he's not there. We see him driving his car in the middle of the night, and in the morning, we see him with his kids. They sit by a river with fishing rods, hoping to catch some fish. Despite Griffin trying to make it fun by explaining everything, his oldest son drops the rod and admits that he's bored. Reading the room, Griffin admits that he is bored as well. Trying to make it more fun, Griffin hands the keys to his oldest son, who is under the driving age, and suggests he drives them back. Despite it being his first time, the little guy drives perfectly. Griffin is impressed by his son and compliments his driving. The little guy lets his father know that he wants the same car once he gets his driver's license, and Griffin promises to give him the same one. Coming back to his apartment, Griffin sees a note on the floor as soon as he comes in. Realizing that it's a note from Sarah, he calls the number immediately, praying that she answers. We see Sarah in a rather bad state, with tissues all around her, hinting that she's been crying. He invites her to come as soon as she can, but she thinks that they're not a good idea. Admitting that she's not in a good place and doesn't feel like she should start seeing anyone, Sarah starts crying. Griffin begs her to help him and give him a chance, but she hangs up not knowing what to say. Their relationship gets a fresh start after some time, as Sarah comes to visit Griffin in his apartment. Not surprised by her visitation, Griffin opens the door and asks about their status, and she finally gives him a green light. They make love, and Sarah notices that something's bothering Griffin. She asks him about it and even tries to comfort him. But nothing helps. Griffin doesn't know how to tell her that he has cancer and whether he should even tell her at all. He admits that something had happened to him a few months previous and that's why he couldn't perform well in the bedroom. She understands him and doesn't pressure him into telling her. Their relationship progresses as time passes. They spend more time together and can be seen doing couple activities. He supports her and she supports him, and that's all that matters. Griffin is honest with her. One day as they're chilling in the living room, he lets her know that he has 2 sons in Westchester. To his surprise, she thanks him for revealing something personal. He had visited his 2 sons a couple of days prior, and it made him realize that he hasn't treated his sons like he should have. He had a talk with one of his sons, an open conversation where Griffin had admitted having cancer, but he leaves that part out as he doesn't want Sarah to know that. Changing the topic, he suggests they should go on an adventure, being fond of the idea. Sarah asks him to think about something crazy that he wanted to do all his life. Griffin's wish is to jump on a train while it's moving, and they do just that. Coming to the railway, they rush to the place where the train would be stopping, so Griffin can hop on it. Unfortunately for them, the train arrives earlier and they hide behind the bushes, so the driver doesn't see them. Griffin waits for the train to slow down before he starts running after it. He finds an opening and jumps on it, climbing to the top immediately and letting it all in. After the wild ride, they come back home where Griffin has a shower and Sarah tries to clean his messy apartment. The truth is about to be revealed as Sarah finds the books about cancer while cleaning. Staring at them in disbelief, she thinks the worst of it. She goes to the shower and starts throwing the books at him, calling him bad names and asking him repeatedly whether she's a joke to him. Confused, Griffin starts asking her what's wrong, but she doesn't answer him and even leaves the apartment. He follows her down the sidewalk, asking and begging for her to tell him what's going on. They start pulling and tugging each other until eventually, they fall to the ground, Griffin being on top of her. He asks her to calm down and tells him what's going on, but the guys from the street take it the wrong way as one of them punches him, making him fly to the side. Looking at him with tears in her eyes, she asks him why he's playing with her. He stays quiet, and she reveals that she has cancer that started in her ovaries, but spread all over. Why do you have all of those books about dying? Why are you so nice to me? Are some of the questions Sarah repeats, begging for an answer. Griffin stands up from the ground, shaking his head at her assumptions, and admits that the books are for him because he has chest cancer. Both of them are devastated because their partner is dying, hugging each other as tears fall down their faces. They choose to spend the time they have by being with each other all the time. She even goes to his regular checkups, but often finds herself bored there. As they're waiting for the results, Griffin hands Sarah a chocolate bar to stop her whining. She gets excited and even compares his gift to Christmas. The topic of Christmas is touched upon as Sarah admits to loving Christmas and everything about it. And as far as Griffin goes, he is more of a Grinch. As they're having this discussion in the lobby, waiting for a doctor, an older lady joins them. The older lady starts crying, so Sarah asks her whether there's any way she can help her. The lady admits that she's afraid that her husband isn't going to make it out of the hospital, and he wouldn't like to know that. Reminiscing about their happy times, the lady smiles as she starts talking about how wild they were when they were younger. Her husband had been a pilot and she will never forget the trip they took to Mexico that one time. Swimming in the Pacific Ocean with no clothes is something the lady will forever remember. Before leaving, the lady asks Griffin and Sarah whether they have children. Griffin stays quiet and Sarah says that she doesn't. Trying to make them feel better, the lady claims that they have time as both of them are still young, but she doesn't know just how limited their time is. Tears fill Sarah's eyes as she watches the old lady sit down by her husband's bed. Griffin takes her hand in his to let her know that he is there. As they lay around the bedroom, Griffin gets an idea. He asks Sarah to get some time off of work, so they could go on vacation. Sarah smiles and admits that she can't get any time off as she has a lot to do, but she suggests she quits so they can do whatever they want. We see Griffin and Sarah at the beach next, but she is disappointed that they're at Kenai Island as she wanted to go somewhere more tropical. Griffin is getting all tied up to a balloon as she wants to go paragliding. The instructor comes and Griffin asks him where the guy before him is and where the boat is. The guy is confused and goes to check whether everything's alright. Griffin takes the chance to ask Sarah for a favor. He doesn't want Sarah to sit with him in the hospital if he is the one to go first or come to his funeral and grave. When he thinks that it's time for him to go, he will disappear because he doesn't want her to look at him how the old lady from the hospital looked at her husband. It is what he wants and Sarah respects it as she promises that she will keep his wish. The instructor comes back, ready to let Griffin fly, despite not finding the previous guy. Griffin realizes that flying with guys like him could be a bad idea, so when he asks him whether he's ready, Griffin drops the uniform and heads to a restaurant with Sarah. They sit down for dinner and take out the medication they have to take before eating. The waitress comes to the table and is surprised to see all the pills on the table, but Sarah lets her know that they're collectors. Looking at her, Griffin tells her that he wants to get her a present, to pay back for the amazing train experience he had. He wants to know what's the one thing she's always wanted. She admits to always wanting to be in the in crowd, but her father moving had prevented her from achieving her goal. The other thing she's always wanted would eventually lead them to some legal trouble, but Griffin uses his intelligence to get them out of it. We see them at the top of a water tank tower, painting different graffiti and having fun. Sarah paints her class logo in the year she finished high school, as it is something she wanted to do in high school but never got to. Griffin has a different idea in mind and he finishes his graffiti before her but doesn't let her see it. His wish is for her to see it from the ground, so the stars can shine in the background. They share a passionate kiss before getting back to painting, but they get surprised once they see a flashlight on them. 2 police officers order them to get down and surrender, which they do, but they can't stop joking and laughing about the whole matter. They start asking them whether they've had something to drink and Sarah lies that they haven't. Griffin pretends to call out for someone at the top of the tower, which leads the officers to think that someone is up there. While they move closer to the tower, telling anyone who is up to come down, Griffin and Sarah take the chance to run off. The cops look back only to see that they're not there. Griffin and Phoenix run up the stairs of the clock tower and make it to the top. Looking around, mesmerized by the size of the clock, Sarah admits to being scared of the cops getting to them. Excited from the adrenaline, they start kissing passionately and make love at the tops of the clock tower. Their intimate life gets better as Griffin starts performing well in the bedroom. They sit in front of the building having a mini picnic when Griffin asks her to go inside to continue the fun. Looking at him amused, she suggests they relax for a while and take a walk. A moment of silence before Sarah speaks again. She admits that she's happy, the happiest she's ever been, only because he's in her life. Walking around making small talk, Griffin and Phoenix pass a mother who is humiliating her child for crying. She approaches the woman and asks her to relax, but the woman is rude as she tells Phoenix off. This doesn't sit well with Phoenix as she starts insulting the woman, calling her a monster and a terrible mother. Sarah loses it as she can't stand the injustice that is happening to her. She grabs the stroller from the mother and doesn't let it go. The mother screams, calling her bad names, but Sarah breaks down, not wanting to accept that someone like her, who has a chance to be a mother, uses it so poorly, whereas she has a limited amount of life left. The mother leaves and Sarah falls down to the ground sobbing to herself. Griffin is there the whole time making sure that it doesn't get violent. He understands Sarah's pain and that's why he lets her let all of her pain out. They walk back home and talk about what had happened. Phoenix is angry, she wants to punch or kick someone just to take all the anger out for the moment. Griffin is angry as well, but he doesn't agree with her actions. He doesn't know who he's supposed to be angry at. Should he be angry at everybody or at the world? Sarah thinks that he should, but he lets her know that he can't believe in fair and not fair. He believes that he can't blame anyone for the cancer, not God, not the air, or even himself. It has happened to him and it is what it is. He lets her know that he doesn't want to insult her but believes that taking emotions out on random people is not the answer. Sarah argues that it is a problem that he thinks that there's an answer for everything. He simply looks at her and doesn't say anything. She suffers from pains in the middle of the night but doesn't let Griffin know. Going into the bathroom, she takes the pills as fast as she can before falling to the ground and letting the cool floor be felt on her skin. Knowing that she definitely doesn't have any more time, not enough to make it until December, she hands Griffin gifts from her to his sons so he can give them out for Christmas. She asks him to promise her that he'll make Christmas special for his sons, in her name. Not wanting to believe that she will be gone, Griffin claims that he will make Christmas special for all of them, including her. Smiling at him, she asks him to kiss her and they share a passionate kiss. Before going to bed, Sarah starts kissing Griffin passionately, initiating that she wants to have intercourse, but he claims that he's tired and apologizes for turning her down. Looking at him with nothing but love in her eyes, she lets him know that there's nothing he should be apologizing to her for. She will forever understand him and not judge his actions. Listening to her words, he gets inspired to confess his liking of her. Smiling, she admits that she likes him as well. The next morning, Griffin leaves only to prepare a surprise for Sarah. Coming back home, he puts on a gorilla suit to surprise her, but instead, he finds a goodbye letter from Sarah. While he was out, she suffered great pains and was admitted to a hospital. After reading the letter, he runs to the hospital and gets to her room fast. Seeing him brings a smile to her face and she admits that she's been expecting him. She reminds him of their promise not to see each other and he claims to have lied. She starts crying, which makes him tear up as well. Trying to lighten the mood, she admits that she's thinking about the last time she used random things like a pencil, or the last time she played piano. It is fascinating to her how she did all of those things for the last time but didn't pay attention. Meeting him, she got to laugh, make love and fall in love for the last time. The only difference is that she paid attention while being with him. Looking at him, she tells him to go away as there's nothing they haven't done. She doesn't need flowers or any act to cheer her up. She wants him to be the last perfect thing she's had. He starts crying and admits that their relationship had been a beautiful lifetime, but can't bring himself to leave her in the hospital. She wants him to listen to her wishes and asks him to leave as she doesn't need him being anywhere around her. Heartbroken, Griffin gets up and leaves, sobbing to himself. The anger builds up in him as he sees that his car's tire has been inflated. He tries to fix it, but once he gets into the car, he loses it. He starts smashing his own car, letting all the anger out. After destroying his own car, he proceeds to break all the cars that are parked in front of him, getting all the attention of the people. He gets arrested and the person to bail him out is his ex-wife's soon-to-be husband, which takes him by surprise. Coming out of the police station, Griffin thanks the guy for bailing him out and even invites him to go to the hardware store with him. Surprisingly, he agrees so they walk together to the store. Sarah lies in the hospital bed, struggling with the pain she's having when Griffin walks in. She asks him what he wants and even tries to kick him out. He sits on the bed and begs her to never listen to him. He wants her to forget all the stuff he told her and focus on what he's saying at the moment. He admits to being wrong about everything, but right about one thing. There is an answer to their suffering, and the answer for him is being with Sarah. She looks at him in awe as a smile forms on her face. "I love you, for better or for worse," is what he tells her before getting in bed with her. He wants to be anywhere she is as being with her, even in sad moments like the one they're in, is better than not being with her at all. He kisses her with passion, holding her close, and admits to missing her. She admits that she has missed him as well and even asks him to stay with her forever. He agrees to it but says that there's a place they have to visit, and that would mean her sneaking out. Smiling, she agrees to it with no problem. He takes her to a river with big rocks surrounding it. Picking her up, he asks her to close her eyes until he says that she can open them. Taking her to see the sunset, with the sun behind them, he sits her down but doesn't let her open her eyes. As we know, Sarah hates surprises, but it is her impatience that makes her open her eyes. Standing in front of her is a big Christmas tree with lots of presents under it, just like Christmas. Sarah may not have enough time to get to Christmas, but it is Griffin that's decided to bring Christmas to her. She stares at the beauty in front of her, crying in happiness. He comes to her side, holding her, letting her know that no matter what, he'll always be there. The tower they did graffiti on finally gets painted over, but Griffin loves Phoenix will always be there and will last forever, just like their love.